My wife had plans to travel south with a friend, but I strongly objected. Firstly, it would be costly, and secondly, I knew what they would do there. There would be no supervision or control over them. However, my wife had a strong desire to relax under a palm tree, soak up the sun, and swim in the sea. She persisted and asked me for money, but I firmly refused to finance the trip. It seemed like she had lost all sense of responsibility. Considering our modest lifestyle, we needed to save money. Then, a peculiar idea came to mind. I suggested making a trade to my confused wife. She asked what I meant, and I assured her that it wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary. Curiously, she asked what I would require from her in return. Initially, I thought about persuading her to fulfill her marital duties, but I had a better plan. I needed a mother-in-law. Yes, I needed her. She had caught my attention for quite some time, flaunting her short skirts. My wife was unenthusiastic about my proposal, and it's worth mentioning that her relationship with her mother was not very good. They often quarreled over trivial matters. However, her strong desire to spend time by the sea outweighed her objections. Her plan remained unchanged. After much persuasion, my wife finally agreed to let me spend a week at a hotel, indulging in relaxation and devouring copious amounts of fruit. That she was happy when we took our seats at the dining table. In a swift motion, she plated the meat and took a seat beside me. With a concerned tone, she questioned my purpose for being there. Was it business or simply a visit as a relative? I stared back at her, perplexed. "What do you think?" I replied. A faint blush appeared on my mother-in-law's cheeks as mischievousness gleamed in her eyes. She fully understood the situation, as she had a fiery temperament of her own. We ended up exactly where we wanted to be. The details of who made the first move and what transpired next are better left unmentioned. Nonetheless, we had a delightful evening, called a cab, and returned home. I sought solace in the bathtub, allowing my thoughts to gather and regain my strength. I slept soundly that night. The following day, I paid another visit to my mother-in-law. I had assumed my wife would have a full week off, and foolishly believed I would be sitting at home. However, that was not the case. We should have equal vacations, especially considering I had paid for my wife's trip. I could have declined, after all. My mother-in-law greeted me warmly, claiming to have no recollection of the events between us. The previous day caught me by surprise when my mother-in-law appeared completely bewildered. I reassured her that nothing dreadful had occurred, and we shared a brief hug before letting the matter rest. Although my response managed to calm her down, she cautioned me against letting her consume too much wine, as she claimed it could lead to regrettable actions on her part. With a sense of delight, I eagerly poured more wine into her glass. The second evening progressed smoothly, with my initially hesitant mother-in-law eventually succumbing to my insistence and consuming more. We truly connected, and I couldn't help but think of my wife back home. I found solace in the fact that she was on vacation, perhaps even engaging in infidelity. The money spent on the trip was not a source of regret, as she deserved a break as well. It was no wonder that nothing had changed. On the third day, my mother-in-law greeted me warmly, albeit complaining of a headache from the previous day. Despite this, we agreed to have tea together. To my astonishment, she exhibited a cheerful and youthful demeanor. The first day had been filled with stress, but ultimately ended well. The second day was tolerable, and the third day was nothing short of fantastic. I couldn't help but wonder what the next day had in store for us as I returned home, feeling utterly exhausted and in need of a shower. I crawled into bed and drifted off to sleep, a rare occurrence for me as it usually takes me some time to doze off. But this time, it was different. The visit with my mother-in-law had left a lasting impact. As my wife's vacation came to an end, we surprised each other. The last few days flew by in a blur, and I had the chance to see my mother-in-law every day. To prepare for her arrival, I stocked up on groceries, wine, sweets, and pastries. However, the final day before my wife returned was truly unforgettable.